This is like I'm seeing you guys after a long time. You guys
बहुत टाइम बाद देखा गया।
जी बिल्कुल भी
So
change
whenever
नहीं
you
लगा।
come, and you must let us know so that we meet.
Sure, sir, sure. We were supposed to come this year, but you know, COVID has
Yes.
changed all our plans. So yeah, definitely. Hey, Vinod, how are you?
अमेरिका में
I'm not able to. सर घर में सब लोग कैसे हैं मैम और बच्चे?
हाँ सब लोग अच्छे हैं।
सब लोग अच्छे हैं। ग्रेट ग्रेट सर। आप लोग वही रिनपास में है ना? अभी तो रिनपास का ही सेटअप है बैकग्राउंड।
हाँ ये रिनपास में नई लाइब्रेरी बनी है, वहाँ का एक छोटा रूम है, यहाँ सर्वर और सारे कनेक्शंस इंस्टॉल्ड है, तो हम लोग भी यही आ रहे हैं।
बहुत अच्छा। और वहाँ पे कोविड का क्या सिचुएशन है? मतलब हॉस्पिटल वगैरह में कोविड इज अंडर कंट्रोल?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Great.
Our institute is open, and patients are still there inside also, indoor cases. Plus we are running OPD also. In between there was, in fact, about a month, we are not able to open our OPD, but now it is everything.
That's great. That's great. Like people are done with it. It's like it's going to be five months now. Here in US, we are in lockdown from last 5 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly 5 months. In fact, 25th probably lockdown is starting in India.
21st
of March.
Yes.
25th of March.
Yeah, I remember. Great.
So it is, in fact, Vinod's effort. He wanted to have webinar. So you are the right person to be approached to participate.
No, thank you so much. I told Vinod, I really thanked him that he included me in Indian scenario. It's like 17 years I have not done anything in India. So it's really, thank you, Vinod. Thank you so much. And thank you, sir. Thank you for referring my name too. Thank you. Okay, so everyone is here?
30.
While preparing for this seminar, sir and ma'am, I missed Rinpas so much. I don't know why I missed Rinpas so much. While preparing for the seminar, talking to you know, thinking about you all, I really missed it, really.
So everyone should keep in touch in some or other way, whatever possible.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm having my tea. It's early morning. It's about 5 o'clock here. So I need to wake myself up. So I'm just having this tea.
थोड़ी सी ड्यूटी मैम ज्वाइन कर लेती है, उसके बाद शुरू कर देंगे। ज्वाइन कर रही है
नहीं सर, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ना, उतना तो है ही। Talk is fine. अगर
हेलो
ये
हमारा माइक नहीं चालू कीजिएगा। हमको बोलेंगे तो हो जाएगा ना। और
सब लोग अपना बाल रोटी को बना के मिक्सी में पीस के
static current to keep yourself quiet.
ये देश बंद कर दे बंद कर देते ना ट्राई करते हैं
Vinodji, should I start?
मैडम ज्वाइन कर लिए सर. हेलो संजीव सर.
What happened? Yes.
Madam has joined.
No, she will join in a few minutes. We can start. Meanwhile, we can start. Actually, this is the
Yeah,
message
yeah,
which I have got from Amresh ji.
Yes sir. You can start sir. Go proceed. Proceed sir.
कहाँ भाग गया जी जरा.
Sanjeev sir, please start.
Yes, I'm doing. Honorable Vice Chancellor of our university, Professor Dr. Sona Jharia Minj, Madam, Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Hanuman Prasad Sharma, Sir, heads of university departments, principals of different colleges, officers of the university, registrar of our university, Dr. D.N. Singh, who is always willing to help all of us whenever we need him. So Dr. D.N. Singh and all the faculty members, and most importantly, resource persons of the day, the speakers who will be delivering their lectures on a very relevant topic, and one is from a very renowned institution, the institution which is known all over the world for psychiatric and mental health treatment, and the resource person is Dr. Amul R. Singh. And the other resource person is from United States of America, Mrs. Priyanka Mishra. So warm greetings to all of you, Johar, and a very good afternoon to Mrs. Priyanka Mishra. Good morning, because you are in USA and it must be morning there. So very good morning to all of you. Today, you see, we have assembled all over again on this digital platform. I remember only yesterday we had just concluded our faculty development program, the program which was conducted on 5 days, 5 lecture series, and yesterday was the concluding day. Today, actually, so we have assembled again to conduct this international webinar on a topic which is very relevant. Many of us who do not belong to this stream of psychology. So people like us, even we are interested in listening to what the experts have to say on this very vital issue, that is emotional well-being and mental health. This is a very important area, and naturally all of us are interested in listening to our experts. But before I hand over the stage to our experts, I'd like to share an experience which I had. Actually, this is related to the topic which we are going to discuss. So I'd like to share an experience. You see, while we are conducting that faculty development program of our university, on the second day of the program, in the evening, the webinar was to be conducted. In the morning, I got a message from my youngest brother that he, his wife, and his mother-in-law all had tested COVID positive. Just imagine, I was really in a state of shock, not knowing what to do. Emotionally quite disturbed, almost perturbed, and didn't know what to do, and felt like crying vociferously. That was my mental condition. And then I thought that, well, today is the webinar. What I will do? I won't be in a position to be a part of the webinar. So I sent a text message to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, stating my problem to her, and then requesting her to exempt me from participation in the webinar of that particular day. And do you know, that's what, as we are discussing mental health, emotional well-being, do you know what was the response of the Vice Chancellor? Within a few minutes, I saw an incoming call. It was a group call, conference call. We had created a small group of core committee members, and it was a conference call. And that call, the Vice Chancellor, the way in which she assured me, the way in which she pacified me and said that, Dr. Sinha, all of us are with you, and we will pray for you. Everything will be all right. Take care of your family. Your family comes first. So you have to think about your family, think about your family members. All of us are with you. Don't bother what you have to do in the university. We will manage everything. Don't bother about that. You see, that kind of response, you know what must have been the impact. You can't imagine, I can't explain in words the impact which was there on my psyche, on my mental health. And I felt really good. All my nerves, in fact, were calmed by the gesture showed by Honorable Vice Chancellor. Now, what does it show? It shows that in our society, if all of us care for others, care for the problem of others, if you find somebody is in problem, we can come out with suggestions. We can help them in their problem, in coming out of their problem. If we can help them, then their emotional health will definitely be in a very fine shape. So emotional well-being and mental health, you see, these are issues which are very important, and it depends on, it can never be a problem if all of us behave in a decent manner, in a humane kind of manner, in a compassionate manner with the people who live around us, who work with us, who may be living in our family, who may be working with us in our institution where we are working. So the conduct of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, actually it can be regarded as a model code of conduct. It's a model code of conduct. If everybody, every high ranking authority, it behaves like that, then there won't be much of a problem of mental health of employees, of other persons. So with this experience which I had, I wanted to share with you. And now actually let me tell you that my brother is all right, and all family members are all right. Now he has joined his duties after 1 month. He has now become a corona warrior. So I mean, the blessings of everybody has helped. Now actually I leave the stage. I now hand over the stage to the experts. Now I call the convener of this webinar, international webinar, Dr. Vinod Sharma, faculty member, SP College, Dumka. Besides that, he engages in a lot of social activities, psychiatric treatment activities. So he deserves our applauds for that. So I invite Dr. Vinod Sharma to deliver his speech.
Thank you, sir. Thank you a lot, sir. Very good morning to Priyanka ma'am, and very good afternoon to all rest of my participants. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you again. First of all, good morning, very good morning to Priyanka ma'am and rest of participants. Very good afternoon, all of you. I am very fortunate and happy to extend my warm welcome to all of you on this one-day international webinar being organized on the topic COVID-19 psychological support to students for mental health and emotional well-being. On behalf of Department of Psychology, first and foremost, I would like to welcome to our Honorable Vice Chancellors, Professor Dr. Sona Jharia Minch and Pro Vice Chancellor Professor Dr. Hanuman Prasad Sharma sir, and pay heartiest regard for their honest and sincere leadership and good wishes to make the program sure success and precise. I would like to welcome our eminent speakers and feel privileged to honor my respected teacher, Dr. Ambul Ranjan sir, and ex-director and head, RINPAS, Kakerachi, Jharkhand, for his enthusiastic and prompt consent with a lot of blessings. I also heartily welcome and express my deep regard for Miss Priyanka Mishra, 1 year senior to me in RINPAS, for her quick and green response to go ahead with her in making the program grand success. I would like to extend my deepest regard to all our virtual participants who are an integral part of this webinar. Last but not least, I would like to pay sincere thanks and regard to all members of core committee, advisory committee, organizing committee, technical committee, our colleagues, respected teachers, and all others for their honest, committed, punctual, and sincere cooperation, and also extend a special thanks to media for highlighting the program in their respective newspaper. Hope today's webinar will be successful in not only achieving its objective, but also will pave the way for many disciplines of mental health activities for the betterment of subject concerned, university and the society as well. Now, before we listen to our guests, I would like to introduce to you some key words of mental health and disorder. As WHO defines health, a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely absence of disease or infirmity. Whereas mental health, as defined by WHO, is a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stress of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. This was all about health and mental health as defined by WHO. Now, I would like to share a brief about mental disorder or abnormal behavior. In short, mental disorder or abnormal behavior, also known as functional disorder, is nothing but a deviational reaction done against the so-called norms, except situational one. This deviation, which results from different psychosocial, cultural, and emotional regions, manifested in degrees with a lot of psychiatric signs and symptoms. These signs and symptoms diagnose the individual as a patient either of neurosis or psychosis. Now the patients diagnosed as neurosis remain well intact with the environment or surroundings, though they feel uneasy with the problems and get disturbances in day-to-day life functioning. This may include anxiety, depression, phobia, OCD, convergent disorders, hypochondriasis, post-traumatic stress disorder like corona, Covid-19, etc. Whereas in the case of psychosis, the patients are overwhelmed with delusions and hallucinations with unpredictable behavior. Their cognitive, affective, and cognitive behavior process get fully disturbed and become patients either of schizophrenia, mood disorder, delusional disorder, and other comorbid disorders. Despite all these psychosomatic substance-related disorders, personality disorders, eating disorders, pervasive developmental disorders, others neurological disorders like epilepsy are also taken care of in the light of signs and symptoms. Such psychiatric patients are being treated well through proper medications, therapies, and counseling by a psychiatric team, which includes psychiatrist, clinical psychologist, yoga therapist, occupational therapist, psychiatric social worker, psychiatric nurses, and other staff. In India, RINPAS, CFP, both institute from Karachi, Nibhans, UHAPS, Vansik, Arugsala, Agra, Kolkata, and Mumbai, are providing better psychiatric services in India. Now, in short, today, clinical health psychology is an emerging field for making a good career for those students who are aspiring to serve the society as a clinical psychologist and a counselor. Hope our resource person will have a very lucid and wonderful talk to get our motivation fulfilled. Now, thank you again so much for your kind listening and patience. Thank you again, all of you. Have a good talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vinod Sharma, for sharing your knowledge with all of us. Now, I'd like to invite Honorable Vice Chancellor of our university, Professor Dr. Sona Jharia Minj, Madam, to deliver her address. Professor, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Sona Jharia Minj, Madam.
Sinha ji, just a minute. I have a little technical problem.
Okay, madam, we are waiting.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, madam, we are able to listen to you.
Yes. Yes. I think at the outset, I need to congratulate everyone who's part of this webinar, and because um, uh, such interactions or academic interactions are so very necessary to strengthen each other, not only strengthen each other, but also to challenge each other. In terms of challenging, this word challenging each other should not be misunderstood, but challenging each other towards going beyond one's comfort zone. And that is what that is when the challenge begins, according to my experience and my understanding. And so given a situation such as at the moment we have this COVID-19 situation, or a particular kind of environment where we have fear and threat of the disease, while there are guidelines and norms to comply with, and a part of the compliance is not to have physical interaction, of large gatherings, and therefore that in itself for a teacher becomes a bit disheartening and of a disadvantage, and that can also cause and not anxiety is not the word. This is a webinar which is being held to address some of these mental health related or psychological situations that have emerged because of the pandemic, and so therefore not to have interaction with students can for me as a teacher for sure could bring a challenge that it is to live, is to stay in isolation, just be gaping at the camera of the phone or the laptop in order to imagine the number of people. For example, right now I can see either the profile pictures of each of you, or some of you have the video, and due to the network issue I was not able to join earlier, and so likewise in between all the facilities there is also this reality that the region in which we are, network connectivity is one of the major challenges. So while we are disconnected physically, we also get disconnected even on the digital space. And all these together can cause a lot of anxiousness, a lot of anxiety, sometimes anger. And so we may have a situation of having to deal with anger management, not only one's own psychological state, but then the family and everybody who's in the part of the household is also having one's own challenges. And then given such a environment, and in fact it is a small environment, we hardly realized before this pandemic that family and the house is such a limited space where people with individualities also lived, and we coexisted. And sometimes we had this time, the slices of time where everybody came together and everybody went apart from the house, or not from the household. And then the coexistence in that scenario seemed like a normal. So can we consider that situation as a pre-COVID normal within the house, right? Within the family. Now, to extend our workplace, or rather bring the workplace to the confines of geographical confines of the home or house, has been one challenge. To be delivering one's duties through the geographical confines of the house or the residence has been another challenge. And to be able to cope with the presence of everybody in the house, I think that has also been challenge to many. And amongst all these situations, to deal with one's own, if I may use this word, sanity, and also, be normal inside the house and also on the virtual space of our workplace, has exposed us to certain extremities that we never thought. And I am only hopeful that this pandemic time has exposed us to some such extreme situations, which would only enable us to identify our strengths as well as our weaknesses, so that the strengths would continue to remain in our post-COVID time, while our weaknesses may be also there. We would know our weaknesses in order to cope with them. Maybe in the post-COVID time that scenario would not recur, but even if it does, some of the mechanisms that we evolve in order to deal with our issues or weaknesses, or even interhuman interaction, or interpersonal interaction in the house, interpersonal relations of colleagues, personal relations in the marketplace, and so on and so forth. So I'm only hopeful that this pandemic situation of COVID, which has fixed us or posted us in the geographical confines of our house, and limited access to our workplace, and then limited a human interaction, would help our colleagues from psychology, our the experts from psychology, psychiatry, and all those who work towards mental health would be able to bring out new dimensions, and would be able to evolve mechanisms, and through their studies would be able to explain certain things, and would help people cope with certain other new phenomena in future. So I really wish this gathering and this the webinar all the best, and let us be all the time open to learn from each other. Let us be all the time open to facing challenges, and let us all above our individual or departmental identity also try to embody the identity of SKMU, which I'm learning to do. And thank you all for responding so many times so spontaneously, which enables me to feel even more this feeling of fraternity with SKMU. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Vice Chancellor Madam. It was nice listening to you. Actually, I was talking about the importance which you attach to interpersonal relationship, and that is very important. Actually, interpersonal relationship, the way we relate with others in our family, in our workplace, and everywhere in the society. So it is very important, and its strengths and weaknesses, which our strengths will be there, as you said, will be there, but we can definitely improve upon our weaknesses. That will be the outcome, after this, when COVID is over. Now I would request our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Hanuman Prasad Sharma, sir, to deliver his address. Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, sir.
Just a few minutes, Sanjeev ji.
Okay.
Good afternoon to everybody. our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Surendra Mindi, Dr. Sanjeev Sinha, and our eminent speakers, Dr. Amul Ranjan Singh from RINPAS, and also eminent speaker Priyanka Mishra from USA. All the participants from different corners of the Dumka district and also from different corners of the country, I welcome all of you that we are participating in such an COVID-19 psychological support for mental health and emotional well-being. This is the background behind this organizing a seminar. I owe to our Vice Chancellor, Madam, that one of the, you see, the people or the came to the university and she forwarded to me, and that was Manu Darpan by MHRD department. Ramesh Pokhariyal ji, who is the minister of the MHRD, he started this program keeping in mind that because of the COVID and because of the pandemic, now situation has worsened and worsened. So on the part of the government, there must be certain, the family, the society, the nation, everybody can be given a strength to fight or combat with a situation of COVID-19. All of us know that life is full of challenges. When the challenges come, there is a learning starts, and then learning makes towards innovations, and shortly the medicine is going to be, you see, manufactured and discovered. As per the statement of the health minister, Dr. Harshvardhan, that by December the medicine will come in the market. However, Russia, they have already the vaccines and they are using the disease. Presently, this webinar, Manu Darpan, you see, this has been launched under the Atmanirbhar Abhiyan, which is launched by our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. So not only economic package, but also you see the package for the mental health is also being included in the thought of the government. The government has said not only, you see, the mental health is not only physical health, but mental health is also equally important. Before starting some talk, I would like to say a few proverbs, which is already been said by our prime read with this term. Second one, I say that Param Sukh Nirogi Kaya. And in English, it is said, health is wealth. And finally, it is said, Swasth Sarir, Swasth Mastisk, or vice versa. So keeping all these proverbs in mind, we must know how it has spread and how it has put stress, depression, anxiety, and different types of mental problem. All of you know that coronavirus is made up of, you see, the virus, as you know, that it is not living matter, but when the moment it comes in contact with the body and the cells are digested, and there they start manufacturing their own structure and they spreads throughout the body, and how does the infection spreads to the body. The genetic material is very important whenever we are talking the living system. Usually in a virus, there's a DNA is the genetic material, but coronavirus is such a virus where RNA is the genetic material. COVID-19 is a disease which is caused by SARS-CoV-2. It is a novel virus. COVID-2 virus. And the COVID-19 is called disease. As the coronavirus, the very name, constitution is concerned. So CO means corona, virus VI, COVID-19, CO means corona, VI means virus, D means disease, and 19 means 2019. So corona, rather COVID 2019 is the name of the virus being given to it. All of us are well aware that it has started from the China as the epicenter. Initially, it was spoken that it not spreading disease from man to man, but suddenly the scenario changed and the disease became contagious. And later on, it become, you see, epidemic and it spread all over the world, starting from the China. Presently, the scenario, the number is large and the death number is large, followed by Brazil, and now India has come to the third position. So, one data I would like to give you here, such type of virus, pandemic situations or epidemic is not new. You see, in 1918 and 1920, we are well aware which is Spanish flu. That is caused by a virus and millions of people were died. There was no control, and there too, we also adopted isolations and protection, and finally medicines has been discovered. In addition to swine flu, we know some of the diseases like Lyme disease, hantavirus, rabies, Ebola, dengue, rotavirus, Nipah virus, Lassa virus. So it is difficult now. We will be talking here only on COVID-19. A few years back, we all know that Ebola was such a dangerous disease. Whoever was contagious with Ebola, he ascertained the challenge of these, coronavirus. Worldwide, when scenario is seen that infected cases is more than 2 crores and death is more than 8 lakhs. As Indian scenario is concerned, infected cases are 32 lakhs and death rate is 59,000 only. But despite all the bad scenario, we have a matter of happiness that the death rate in India is only 2% and there is a 98% is the recovery. Whenever somebody is suffering from corona, there are symptoms. Everybody is knowing the symptom. The main symptom is breathlessness, difficult respiration problem. We have a high fever, coughing, sneezing, headache, sore throat, loss of smell, nausea, and diarrhea. These are some of the symptoms. Before COVID-19, if some of the symptoms which appear in the body, like you see cold and cough, we never cared for all these diseases. Cold, again we are you see, afraid of the disease that we are suffering, coronavirus, and from there the development of mental stress starts. Some of the reason that, till there is no discovery of the medicines, the only and only solution is isolation and lockdown. Some of the, matter of, transmission of the disease is, you see, spreading, coughing, sneezing, touch, contact, and the air. As the air is there, I have given a question mark. Air is not, it is still debatable. It is no consensus on the air, whether the air is carrying the coronavirus to different places. Anyway, but other issues. Particularly, it has been given precaution to the old person above 60 that they must be cautious because of the aging process they are suffering, carrying a lot of diseases. So if it is mixed with coronavirus, you see the problem becomes highly intensified, amplified, come to death. So the elderly person and children should always be aware and have to be cautious for, you see, taking care of their body. Impact of coronavirus has already been seen, that this is economy related, all the issues have been affected. Maybe kids, factories, dairy, physiculture. So almost all the area has been disturbed, and because of the delinking, supply chain breakdown, you see, a very bad scenario has been created. In March, a lockdown has been declared, and that is still continuing. You see, the lockdown for a long period, kept man isolated, confined, made one to confine to the home. So not only because of the disease, one is confined to the home, it also created, besides health problem, their, lockdown of school, college, is focused on how to strengthen the anxiety and depression of the students, how they can combat with such a bad situation when the college is closed, when the schools are closed, and everybody is sitting at home. So also there are, later on I will talk, suggestion how to cope with, you see, disconnected friends, family, relatives, cultural activities were completely stopped. Large number of jobs have been lost. Transportation have been completely seized. People were rendered homeless. And you see, drastic demographic change because of the migration is seen, and this putting together our, and it is expected, therefore our Prime Minister has released 20 lakhs crore a relief fund for the breaking such an financial instability. It is a relief to, you see, the street dwellers, the vendors, enterprises. One aspect of help is giving relief through monetary fund, but there is another problem still exists, that is a mental health. That needs to be, the fear needs to be dispelled. The fear needs to be completely wiped out. So before, still we are following the guideline which has been issued by the government, the lockdown, home quarantine, isolation, maintenance of hygienic conditions, sensitization of the hands, maintenance of 2-meter distance, and very simple food. Because of these, some of the parameters you see, isolation, all this problem is causing, you see, jobless, even the student session is late, they are not getting any placement. All their, jobs, research and innovation work is not going on. So this is causing a depression, fear in the mind. When we talk fear, mind, already said, swasth sharir, swasth masticks, or vice versa. It is both is required. Good mental health and good body health, good body health and good mental health. There is the reciprocal relationship. The brain is the largest organ of the body, having 3 important parts: cerebrum, cerebellum, and this part where all sorts of activities is controlled. Cerebellum in the posterior part where the balance of the body is controlled, and stem, brain stem, all autonomous, automatic system, respiration, heartbeat, and it is, you see, automatically controlled. It is through this stem nerve system. So we are facing now, because of the pandemic, because of economic related issues, because of the educations, we are facing stress, anxiety, depression, and many more mental problems. Some of the physical problem of this mental disorder is feeling of suffocation, rapid heartbeat, dizziness, nausea, major sleep problem, sleeping disorder, pronounced reduced appetite, possible associated with less weight loss, low energy, and pronounced fatigue or exhaustion. So these are some of the physical symptoms when somebody is afraid, having apprehension or is scary of the disease. The psychological and emotional symptoms are virus-related worries and insecurity. Everybody is scared. You see, even walking, starting from home, coming to the destination and going back, we are afraid that we could be infected with the virus. So this sort of insecurity and fear in the mind has sort of mental disorder. Feeling of being overwhelmed by events, we feel powerlessness, negative vision of the things or daily events. Feeling of discouragement, insecurity, sadness, and anger. Usually when man is, you see, agile and so by sign of a good health, but you see all this anxiety, sort of feeling, discouragement, insecurity, and sadness is a factor related with mental disorder. Next point is behavioral symptoms. We find difficulty in concentration. When fear comes in the minds, concentration is lost. Irritability, we become aggressive, sometimes wants to cry. Withdrawal, insularity, difficulty in taking decision, increased use of alcohol, drugs, or medications. So these are the behavioral disorder symptoms. Therefore, we have to find out These are the challenges before us till the drug is discovered. And the challenges needs to be faced, that is by simple lockdown, keeping distance, isolation, mask wearing, proper hygienic condition, hand washing, and everything. Already I said that common reactions, stressed, physically, the points have been given. One of the biggest problem we are facing, there is a two words, myths and facts. Fact is the correct informations, and myth is something mysterious, which is a false, which cannot be believed, but usually we undertake the myth, we accept the myth, and therefore we are put in the problem. However, more than 20 types of myths have been described by me, but I would be talking on the red line myths only. Myth that when summer will come, automatically the virus will be lost. Myth number two, when we take bathing with warm water, the virus would be lost. If anybody is getting infection with corona, he will die. You see, home remedies can cure virus. Though we are taking kala and you see the nimbu water, so many things we are taking precaution, hot water, but it is not a complete cure, and we should not completely believe that it's a remedial measure. One important thing that came sometimes back, that virus is spread to all over the world. So this is also a myth. Coronavirus can spread through mosquito bite. This is also a myth. Rinsing your and saline water prevents COVID-19. Getting the pneumonia vaccine cures the virus. Coronavirus can be passed through chicken and meats. All these are the myths we must accept. So, therefore, the correct information is a measure for avoiding mental distress. We should try to contact our university, we should try to contact, we must see TV in order to understand facts behind the disease, not the myth. And finally, we are saying the COVID-19 is a curse of God. God is never a curse for anybody. God gives blessings. God has created the entire world for living, but it is the man who is damaging our ecosystem, and therefore we are vulnerable to various types of, ecosystem deteriorations, health deteriorations, and many problems we are facing because of the activity of the single person, that is human. One more topic I would like to say, that stigmatizations. All of us must have seen in the TV that if the doctor is going to test some areas, they were beaten with the lathis, bottles are thrown on them, spitting is done on them, they are being abused. If somebody has a virus and he is cured, when he is coming back to the home, against him. Frontline workers are two types. One is policemen, other is doctors. So they are really an angel on the earth. And they are really angel on the earth, and Therefore, we should not be hatred to the person concerned. You see, the hatred, or if you despise to them the doctor and police, is very bad thing. So some of the, already I said, there is a verbal abuse, physical violence, feeling isolation, denied jobs. These are various issues which makes one, you see, very much anxious and mental disorder. Now, coping is very important. This area, okay, we have talked the problem. When we are talking a problem, there must be, you see, solutions of the problems. Coping with the problems, how we could run with now. We are used to run with these problems nowadays, but initially we are afraid, in apprehension extremely. So some of the point of coping with this: avoid tobacco, alcohol and drugs. Limit screen times. You see, Corona, so the time should be limited. Not much time is spent on this. And third and very important is relax and recharge. Try to be relaxed. You set aside some time for yourself. You make certain physical exercise, yoga, pranayam, walk or walking in the rather field in your house itself, and try to find out some of the techniques to be in a comfortable zone. Maintaining your day-to-day achievements and routine as possible. I forget to mention that sleeping disorder. There are 3 parameters of a good health. One is sleeping, sound sleeping, you complete normal. One is a very healthy body. So sound sleep is very, very important. Going to bed, sleeping and awakening in the morning. But what we find, because of the anxiety and troubles, we try to, the sleep disorder is there. So how to pass the time? Read the book, listen to the podcasts, and try to develop some Vice Chancellor SKMU that the pandemic period or lockdown period, all of us are engaged in webinar. We are engaged in the examination work. We are engaged in teaching the students. We are engaged in preparing notes and distributing to the students. So this is a sort of solutions for this distress. Stay connected. Never feel that I should be isolated. Feel connected with your family members. Feel connected with your friends on the telephone or other, instruments and the tools are there. And one very important is that remember that physical distancing doesn't mean that social disconnection. This is very important. Though because of the fear of the virus, one is separate in our isolation, but you don't feel that I'm socially cut off or socially boycotted. You can be connected with the people through various tools. And keep talking, keep yourself engaged, make the exercise, read the books, and make the team on these certain tools, WhatsApp and so on and so forth, so that you can be in connections. Contributions. When there is a COVID, it has been seen that large number of people, they have prepared lunch and distributing to the migrants. Even now we can see that yesterday he was very much worried about the coronavirus, but our madam has made a team and tried to make him solace. Be sympathetic and put some of the words to strengthen his emotions. So this sort of service or contribution should be there. In the meantime, we have seen number of, and other sort of activities, gardening and lot of other activities. The which part, if you are a comfortable situation, try to understand that where I am in comfortable situation. So try to identify and try to keep yourself in that situation. Spending your time with family members, don't leave children alone. Children, set limits around news and social media, stay up to date with the university advice, support and other agencies. So other agencies, this is a sort of correct information, solutions, the correct information, one getting that. Rather practicing, already said I would be not talking. This is graph level showing your anxiety is distress or stress depends on your performance. You see when you look into the graph growing gradually, optimum, then decline. When it is growing, this is the calm stage, that is the best part, where you feel highly energetic, vibrant and agile. And when it is a downstream, we find fatigue, exhaustion, ill health and breakdown. This sort of, you see, the various. So we must remember this graph and we try to keep ourselves at an optimal performance. Last but not the least, discovery of drug is one of the very, very important part of this prevention, control and cure of the disease. Unless the medicine is not discovered, we have to be locked down. Everything, all the the things which has showing lower down till the situation becomes normal. Our health minister already announced by December vaccine will be developed in India. In Russia, we know that the president has claimed that he has developed a vaccine and he started treatment. And also keep in mind that drug discovery is not an immediate process. It takes a long time and it involves hundreds of the persons. First is a preclinical test, means we are trying some of the tests on animal model or cell culture and with the test of the various compounds. Clinical phase 1, 2, 3, 4 is starting with the 10%. What are the side effects? If there is no side effects, no damage of the organs, no problem, then the medicine is said to be okay, and final approval of FDA is required. You see, from the America, then it comes to the market. So let's hope that the worries are there, and even after completion, anxiety and worries would be there. That requires to find a space, a comfortable zone where we feel least fear of any mental disorder. We should believe in God, we should believe in scientific achievements, and we should hope that when time will come, well, like other diseases, it will be completely eliminated and the activities would be normal. There's a one diagram which I would say the success story, either you go straight or not. The second one is showing coiling. Coiling means a number of complex are there, anxiety is there, stigmatization is there, fear is there, but ultimately this we must shake hands, we must come in contact with one another, we must start pen pencil classwork, we must start normal examination with eye. I'm wishing all the good wishes for time to come, and everybody must stay healthy and say, this is my good wishes. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a very nice lecture, enlightening one, in which you tried to trace the evolution of the problem, the emergence of the problem, and discuss the several aspects of the disease, how to tackle the problem. Connectivity, you laid a stress on connectivity. Yeah, that is a very important point. And thank you so much for your enlightening lecture. Now we would invite the eminent speaker of the day, the person for whom we were eagerly awaiting to listen. He belongs to a very renowned institution of our country, in fact, famous across the globe, Rim Pass. He is ex-head and director of that institution. We invite him, Dr. Amul R. Singh, to deliver his address.
Thank you, sir. Before I start, at the outset, I must express my gratitude to the organizers who have given me opportunity to interact with the viewers today, and respected Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor Minch, Professor Pro Vice Chancellor Professor H.P. Sharma, Professor Dr. S.K. Sinha, Dr. P.K. Sinha, Dr. Vinod Sharma, and Dr. Priyanka Mishra. I am really delighted to hear to have in this webinar, and I think that this is a very good opportunity for all the learned people who are present or who are participating in this webinar, because whole world is passing through a phase where people are trying certain type of reactions, which I think is very normal in the abnormal situation. And everywhere, every platform, wherever we sit, whatever we watch, whatever we interact, COVID automatically starts getting it. So today's discussion will mainly focus on psychological support to students for mental health and emotional well-being. And we just heard a wonderful discourse delivered by Professor H.P. Sharma, who happens to be Pro Vice Chancellor of SKB Dumka. So he has covered many important aspects which are important to be understood in light of the present scenario. So I will just be very brief and start, and I will try to adhere to the time also. So I will just again repeat the same thing that the graduate matters a lot before we get into any topic. And if we see the statistics of the world, it is more than 2 crore 32 lakhs population which has been affected by this pandemic in different part of the world. And since a number of people have lost their life, also it is more than 8 lakhs people so far. So far, our country is concerned, if we see, it is we have already crossed 32 lakhs mark in terms of having COVID-19. Of course, recovery rate is excellent, but we are in fact approaching 60,000 marks in terms of death also. So whenever we see or whenever we talk about this pandemic, one thing directly strikes that how it is started and how long it is going to continue, because initially when the pandemic started in China, in fact, so people thought that okay, it's located in a specific geographical area, maybe that it will spread to other part of the world. But nobody had thought the actual magnitude and the way it's increasing now. In most of the countries, we have not been able to reach to a peak level, and it is still increasing day by day, including in India. The only solace is that the total number of deaths are completely much less what we had expected in the beginning, especially in January or February of this year. So now we'll be talking that in what way it has affected and what should we take up this particular challenge, so that whatever stresses, whatever issues we are going through, we should be able to maintain our good quality of life with all the challenges. I believe I am audible. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. You are audible, sir.
How pandemic has affected our health? Because whenever we talk about ourselves, we have to see that in what way do we visualize our existence. Is it only physical being, or we are social being, or we are a sort of psychological being? We are a personal being or a spiritual being. So when we look at these aspects, why this particular thing I just wanted to talk is that when we start thinking in isolation in any form of our existence, naturally the problem becomes perception about the problem different for each one of us. But when we start thinking about our existence in a holistic manner, so we understand that yes, nothing is happening in isolation. Each and every incident, each and every happening is affecting different part of our functioning. Whether it is physical functioning, suppose we are having disturbance in sleep, so this will have impact on appetite as well. This will have impact on our long term. You see, they will have lots of repercussions in terms of social life, what I will be discussing about, and of course, psychological functioning is affected most. So, if we see statistics of last 2-3 months, initially what happened? People were trying to save their life. Lots of migration took place in different parts of the world. Lots of precautions were taken by us to avoid the situation, realizing that that might be better. But in due course of time, the things are persisting. Of course, the fear of death is lower, but other fears have started aggravating, and that has started affecting our psychological health, our personal understanding, or our personal functioning, rather, and overall our spiritual world or spiritual existence as such. So I'll be covering these things in a very short manner. So what COVID has resulted in, actually, and that for everyone, including for our youngsters, especially youths, rapid changes to our way of life. Especially youths or the people who have been on work in something, this has definitely affected social life, has affected our work as well. That is, it is a matter of great concern. There is lots of debate in different parts of the world when to start their schools, when to start university functioning, and including people in India have gone to the Honorable Supreme Court also to ensure that the pandemic does not affect the students if they appear in any competitive exams or university exams. So everybody is trying his or her best to find out some way to live a normal type of life, what we have been used to, despite having this pandemic. Disruption in plan very much. Flights are available, trains are available, but numbers are very limited. Flights are not available for other countries to travel, including in India. Very limited trains have been in operation. In the bus services, even today I was going to the newspaper and demanding that bus services must be resumed. So what has made such type of restriction? This was done in order to help the people at large, definitely, so that they are away from infection, they are able to control that infection, and we are in a secure place. We do not come in touch with the people on the road or anywhere. So, right from January or February, we have been trying to be educated about social distancing, and everybody has learned about it. I must tell you. The only thing is that the time is passing very fast, and people are becoming impatient now. That is the thing which is important for our point of view also. Preoccupation with health and safety. Yes, this is a matter of great concern, especially those who already having physical ailments we are having, and naturally disturbed or in a way concerned about their health, and everybody is concerned about health and safety. Ultimately, that leads to the vital thought and that probably helps us ensure that we are able to look after ourselves, especially in this pandemic era. Increased alcohol and substance abuse is also being reported because people have been restrained in a way in limited places. People are working from home. So many other type of spaces have started. So many people have lost their job also. So in some of the people, they could not cope the problem in a proper way. So maybe that they have fallen on alcohol or substance abuse issues, and some of them have increased the quantity. So that is what we have seen in our hospital or other places what are being reported in different journals. Employment issue is something which is very challenging in every part of the world. Lots of education is taking place in both developed and developing countries. Occupational issues are such that everybody talks about the problems people are facing in the world, but very few persons are able to have some solution. In what way can you cope with it? In what way can you overcome this problem? People are demanding that there must be unlock or people must be free to go around. That is all right. But what will happen thereafter? And this is why most of the governments are very careful. How to open the whole system. Really, they have started opening up, and this is helping people to go into the job, or at least having hope for future that eventually the things will come up. Educational issues. This is a matter of concern not only for the students but for the guardians and teachers as well, because the mode of teaching has been drastically changed. Institutions, schools, everything has been closed, and lots of competitions are held up for want of some freedom. When the government exercises that power, maybe that people will be allowed to appear in the exams, and that is directly linked to our future in terms of our occupation, employment, or further studies. Loss of life, that's the ultimate thing. Initially, people were running for their life. Initially, people were going for migrations, changing to the place. They were just trying to meet the people, trying to reach to the place that they are able to meet their family members. But now they are fighting for their survival. That in what way, for how long can they fight without money? For how long can they be away from the job if the things are not opened up? So it has made enormous psychosocial impact on our life. And every part, every individual is affected by it. Of course, the people who are in semi-structure or unstructured or unorganized sector, naturally they have the people, they are the people who have been suffering most, but it has definitely affected every individual of the society. So, what are the psychosocial consequences of COVID-19? Anxiety, fear, worry about health is something which is very common. You talk to anybody, everybody feels anxious. They are apprehended. They are concerned what will happen, for how long. If people are wanting to go to the hospital, the whole hospital is not functioning in the optimum level. So naturally they are suffering. What all difficulties do they have? If they have got some helpline, some people to talk to, maybe that they will be able to share their anxiety and fear. That gives them some solace, but it is not the ultimate thing. So anxiety, fear, worry, and that too for continuously for few months. We have been living with this stage of life, and this is definitely adversely affected our day-to-day functioning. Disturbed sleep and appetite. This is the basic and fundamental thing. If there is disturbance of sleep and appetite, it means the individual is not healthy. And this is continuing. There are many people who are complaining about insomnia or disturbed sleep. Appetite is not properly coded, or there is a problem in terms of regulation of appetite. Depression is very common, and that is why suicidal ideation has increased. People are trying to cope with the problem, but when they are not getting a solution or they are not able to change their perception about the problem, so people are getting into depression, and it is very painful to see that every day there are substantial number of suicides in our country, and it is not that this is confined only to us, but in other places also. This is on rise. People are being helped, people are being recognized. We are guiding people, family members to recognize and identify warning signs of depression, so that if there is anybody who is going into this phase, they must be helped in the beginning only, so that we are able to take some preventive measure or prevent that suicide, or at least bring back negligence to the normal way of functioning. Frustration, irritability, or anger, when it happens, when we do not find a solution. Initially, we think that yes, if there is a problem, there will be a solution. We keep trying to find out some solution. If there is a conflict there, we definitely try to resolve those issues. But when we do not find a solution, what happens after a time? We start getting frustration. And frustration leads to irritability as well as anger. So if that is directed towards outside, people will become very agitated. That is happening in many parts of the world. People are on the road, they are expressing anger, they are taking the things. They are using, assaulting the government, they are spoiling destroying the government properties even. And anger can be self-directed also. That leads to suicidal ideation, suicidal attempts, suicide. So both are interconnected. When we direct our anger outside, that is reflected as anger, results, and when we take it within ourselves, then that is very vital. So restlessness, agitation, that's mental restlessness basically, which leads to physical or motor agitation. We always and help students also to understand that fact. Please do not get restless. Think that this is abnormal situation, and whatever reactions we are throwing, that is not abnormal. Very normal reaction in that abnormal situation, and this is not confined to one person, one locality, one geographical area, one country. This is something very pervading, and it is covered the whole globe actually. And whole globe is trying its best to find out possible ways to cope with this unusual situation. Feeling helpless. This is the complaint which is very common nowadays. Most of the people are feeling helpless. People are confined at home. People are working from home and still they are feeling helpless. People are not able to go out and they are helpless. Children, or this is something, this has happened after 100 years. And initially children were happy and satisfied at home, thinking that, okay, schools are closed. They are having good time, but they are also feeling bored because they were not allowed to go even out of their homes. So this is something, a sort of helplessness that people used to go around, people used to go out for walk, for example, for jogging, for socializing, and there is lots of restrictions. Gradually it is opening up, but still we are helpless in many issues, including in our employment issues and day-to-day functioning of work. Feeling disconnected with others, very common phenomena. But I always tell one thing, that being together is more important than living together. Even when we are staying at distant places, but if we are well connected, we are interacting with each other, we understand the feelings of each other, that's great. And this has definitely given a very good opportunity, I must tell you. This pandemic, where we have been not only able to connect with others, but we have been able to connect with ourselves also. That is a fundamental requirement for continuous growth. Because once we are connected to ourselves, then we can hear what is happening inside. We can feel that, we can experience that. And that makes us refined individual, that makes us better human being, that makes us worth interacting with other persons, helping them. We develop compassion out of that. So feeling disconnected is a problem. We have to always take it. Otherwise, and in other way around, thinking that yes, whatever people feel disconnected, they should realize that they are in a way both connected, both concerned, and that is why they are feeling that they are disconnected. Earlier also, there are many people who used to have really limited talks with others, but they did not feel so. But recently, they have developed this type of phenomena. Gradually, people are able to overcome this. Apprehension of getting infected, yes, that is underlying feeling. Every individual, because unlock is taking place, and more people are going out of their home or the places they were actually staying in. So naturally, we are exposed to infection, and only precautionary measures like mask, social distancing are going to help us besides sanitizer and other preventive measures. Suicidal ideation, yes, whenever we are having the situation like this, any disaster, and this is something that is sort of everywhere. So naturally, when the problem is continuing continuously without any apparent solution, immediately, naturally, we are likely to have this type of thought. The only thing is that if there is a problem, there is a solution. And suicide is never a solution of anything. But whatever problems we have, we must discuss with others. We have got the family members, they are concerned about us, we have got the friends, and we have got the social media to express our views. So let us take advantage of family, society, as well as the technology, whatever is available to us. Precipitation of mental health issues, that is important. There are people who are already having mental health problems, so naturally the problems have increased or aggravated. That is one. Second is, there have been a substantial number of people who are vulnerable to mental health issues. We're on the verge of having these things, but they are maintaining well. So initially, when there is a crisis, they're very likely to have problems. The only thing is that if such people come forward for help, in the beginning, so many helplines are available, including in SKMU, there is one counseling center in the Department of Psychology. So if people are talking there on phone, tele-counseling, tele-psychotherapy, that is great help to the people to help themselves to understand that in what way can they maintain their good health. And uncertainty, that is something which everybody is having. We are very much uncertain about our future, except the fact that, okay, the time will come when the things will be normal, but when we have not been able to have the vaccine, it takes time. Yes, this is a new virus in a way, and it has pervaded every part of the world. So everybody is trying their best, his best, to find out something. So everybody is living in the world of uncertainty, and uncertainty definitely leads to anxiety, worriness. Then if it continues, then this might lead to depressive cognition as well. So what are the coping strategies? That is very important to be understood, because, okay, there is a problem, there is a solution, we always tell. But how to cope with it? So one is the problem focused, as I have been repeating it. Another is emotion focused. So these are regulated by our emotions. In what way do we react to a given problem in an emotional manner? So again, there will be two components. One will be the behavioral and another will be cognitive, and all three are important for us to understand, so that we are able to face the problem in a more meaningful way, and we are able to maintain our day-to-day functioning. So coping strategies, problem focus means what? Alternative solutions. If there is a problem, we must try to find out what are the alternative solutions. Suppose there has been exams, some student has not been able to perform good, failed in one of the papers. What are the possible solutions? One is that you must visit to the teacher who has taught you. You must relook into the books. You must try to find out what all solutions did you make last time, what improvements are required, in what way can you improve your performance. So that is very problem focused, that okay, whatever has happened, and I will take up place in the next exams, and I will ensure that I will be able to perform better. So that is basically one example I have given, especially in context to our students. So alternative solutions are always there. It is not that there is one question and there will be only one answer or solution. We can always look for alternative solutions, and that immediately lowers the intensity of problem perceived by us. Acting to remove or lessen the threat, that is another method. That in what way can we remove that? In what way can we lessen the threat? So by way of acting, by way of getting ourselves involved to find out some solution, so that we start looking at the problem from the different perspective of removing oneself from the situation. That is very common. Many times what happens? Environmental manipulation helps. You have been into trouble, you have been facing some problem for timing. If you go out, you meet some people, you are away from that situation, that gives some space to you to find out, or you look at the problem from a distance, and that gives you better solution, and that manages your stress as well. Enlisting the help of others in dealing with the threat. हमेशा याद रखिएगा, this is very important. I must tell you, there has been disaster in different part of the world. Even when the people suffered, but they started doing one thing. During that crisis period also, they started helping others. They developed compassion for others. So they forgot their own problems. So what happens in such situation also, intensity of problem does not interfere in their functioning. Rather, sometimes they feel that what all hidden potentials I had, I've been able to dig it out in order to serve others. So that is very soothing, satisfying, and makes you worthy of being a good human being. Seeking professional help or advice, that is important. If the things are not manageable, if I'm not able to look after myself, if my family members are not able to somehow provide me what I've been expecting, so should not hesitate seeking help from the professionals. It might be qualified psychologist, counselor, psychiatrist, general physician, or teachers. Whosoever is available for help or advice, we should not avoid that thing, and we must be open and very clear that what all difficulties do I have, and we must learn to share, and we should not hesitate in sharing those things. Acting to prevent recurrence of similar stressful situation. Whenever we are in trouble, whenever we have got some problems, it is not that only it is for the first time this thing has happened. We have to equip ourselves also, so that we are able to face similar type of problems in a proper way next time. The reactivity within us should not be so intense that again we are stuck next time. So whenever we face some other type of crisis in our life, we should be able to take it in a more healthier way. Emotion focused behavior. Living the specific challenge rather than attract. Engaging in physical exercise. There are many people, suppose the result has not been good for a student, so we tell that, okay, whatever has happened, but you must look after yourself. You must do some physical activities. You must socialize. You must express yourself. You must think that what you have planned, so that you are feeling more motivated. Sense of humor should not be lost. Find out some way which gives you relaxation. Whether this is your hobby, this is learned from somewhere, whatever gives you relaxation, including music, painting, what all you love, what all you are interested in, that makes you more relaxed, and that gives again the space to find out better orientation about the problem, so that what all emotional disturbances did you have because of the failure or because of the things which you in a way you could not succeed. The perception about that problem starts changing, and you start thinking that yes, there are so many other things also to be looked into. Then meditation is another thing that helps us in developing self-control, making us realize that everything is within us. All the potentials are hidden within ourselves. And if I am able to recognize that potential, maybe that I will be able to resolve most of the issues of life, whatever we come across in our day-to-day life. So emotional support from friends, yes, they have always been a great help, and they will remain. So it is friends, family members, teachers, or anybody with whom you can confide your issues. You can share your problems genuinely, so that they are able to understand that what all difficulties or emotional turmoil you are going through. So naturally, as a friend, they will come forward for support, for help, to make you analyze your problem in a more meaningful way. Emotion focused, cognitive aspect, temporarily setting aside thoughts about the problem. आप लोग बोलते हैं ना हुआ इस पे support, right? Reducing the threat by changing. Okay, suppose somebody has failed in an examination. Okay, it's not only examination. What will happen if I hello?
हाँ सर.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
राम प्रकाश जी, कीजिए अपने को.
Hello.
We can hear you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Dependently setting aside the thoughts about the problem, reducing the threat by changing meaning of the situation. कई बार होता है कि फेल हो गया एग्जाम में, कहता क्या यही एग्जाम है, क्या एग्जाम में पास हो जाते तो नौकरी लग जाती, थोड़ी देर के लिए सोचने का तरीका बदल जाता है, and sometimes that helps. Again, he will reorient himself about the problem. Again, he will try to find out what are lacunas that he had. He could not succeed, so that he makes more sincere and concerted effort to overcome that problem or hurdle. So what will happen? This is basically cognitively focused problem, where the cognitive aspect is looked after in terms of finding a solution using defense mechanism. It is very common, especially for those who are from psychology background. Many times we use denial, repression, rationalization, reaction formation. Of course, these are unconscious as per Freud, but these are wonderful things which initially helps us definitely, so that the anxiety does not reach to a level where there is a chance of breakdown. So that helps and prevents us breaking down into the actual problem where we think or we assume that the individual is having some major mental health issues. So these are the few things I wanted to share. Now, few more common points. Coping with psychosocial stress, how to cope with it. The first thing is that we must acknowledge our feelings. We must share it. We must express it. We must write it down. Pain with the self, others, whatever way, we must learn to ventilate it. We must acknowledge that what all difficulties I am passing through. I must start confiding with the other. That is very important. The moment you have shared your problems, the intensity of pain you have been living with is automatically lowered immediately, instantly. Maintain your day-to-day activities. That is another parameter. We always tell the people who come to us that whatever difficulties, whatever crisis you are going through, try to maintain your routine activities. When do you sleep? When do you get up? When do you have your breakfast? When do you have something to do? Right? When you have got the period for watching TV or interacting with others, please try to maintain that thing. And that definitely helps you to make understand one fact that, okay, that what all difficulties I am having, still I am able to maintain it. And that gives you confidence, that makes you feel that yes, still you are on the right track. Eating healthy meals, yes. What happens during stress? We are very careless in terms of looking after ourselves. And eating is the first thing. Sometimes we overeat, sometimes we avoid, sometimes we forget, sometimes we are careless in terms of what we should eat, when should we eat, how much should we take. So all those things are to be properly looked after, especially at the time of crisis, because that is the period which makes us more vulnerable to such type of problems. Stay connected. Our honorable Vice Chancellor has also talked about, and as well as our Vice Chancellor also, that we have to stay connected, and that is very true. We are human beings. We need to socialize. We need to be in touch with each other, and we need to share our experiences, thoughts with each other. That automatically makes us more closer to each other. So we have to stay connected, know about the welfare or well-being of each other, so that this is basically interdependence and a feeling that yes, we are concerned about each other. Routine physical exercises, that is important, that must be undertaken, and that is more important in this stage because this is a sort of antidepressant also. And we undertake any type of physical activity, that is antidepressant, and we must adhere to it. We must find out some way that where we are physically active, mentally we are, many times we do so many things, but physically we forget to look after ourselves. So that is to be looked after, and this is for applicable for the people of all the ages, right from the early childhood to the people who are senior citizens or who are little think that yes, they are very senior enough to miss certain things. Okay, this is up to your comfort. Learning new skills, that also gives us a sort of mental satisfaction. That gives us the feeling that yes, I am doing something good. This releases endorphin that makes us happy, satisfied. Sense of well-being starts prevailing when we are learning something, because that is a very satisfying experience. But I have not been knowing, and if I have just learned something new, and especially, for example, in this pandemic era, I've always told our students, my students here who are, that at least you must write some research article. You must make use of this particular period so that you never forget in your lifetime that what all problems, what all crises, what all difficulties you are living in. Despite that, you are able to write one or two wonderful articles, research articles, right, which are likely to be published, and some of them have already been sent for publication, and few have been published as well. Pursue hobbies. That is very important. We should not withdraw ourselves from these things. These are important things. That gives us satisfaction. That relaxes us. That makes us feel worth. That makes us feel that yes, I am still growing. I am not someone which is gradually going towards downside. Rather, we are still progressing far, progressing in a normal way. Spending time with nature. That is another important part of life. You must learn to spend some time with the nature. You must see where we live, what all surroundings are there. do we actually know what type of trees are grown up nearby? What sort of animals are there? In what way these animals on the like, for example, during this pandemic era, there was a very tough time for the animals on the road. I tell you, they were just roaming here and there, and there are some sensitive people who were looking after them. So that was a great learning experience, and everybody loves nature. I know, but how much are we actually attached to that thing? That matters most, and that is very satisfying experience once we are attached with the nature also. Yoga and meditation, that is very enriching experience for each one of us. We must do something which we love, which we are passionate about, which we think we can easily do. It should not be taken as a sort of medical regimen. It should not be taken as something that somebody is pressing me to do it, but we must inculcate that quality that when I'm sitting, when I'm just having some leisure time, I must find out some way where my ultimate, not only physical, but mental activities are always on growth, and they keep growing day by day. So yoga and meditation enriches our day-to-day experiences of life and makes us feel that what all difficulties do we have, that is all right, but at least I'm able to grow even in this pandemic era. So this is all I wanted to share through my slides, and I'll be available for any queries in the last of the discussion, I believe, because I know that Priyanka must be waiting for her turn to start. So I hope that now she will take up the discussion forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Your lecture was really, not only you diagnosed the problem, you provided what the solution should be, what should we do to tackle this problem, the situation in which we are finding ourselves, what we can do. I mean, from the behavioral point of view, from emotional point of view, from activities point of view. So all these, in fact, what we are saying, that those people who are managing to tackle this COVID in a very positive manner, they actually stick to these lifestyle which you have suggested. For example, regular physical activities, yoga, pranayama, other things, and then healthy food habit, and then communicating with the people, I mean, interacting with the people. So all these activities actually, and developing new habits, gardening, etc. So all these activities actually help us in dealing with the problem which we are finding ourselves in, the new in the global new. This is what you said, that's a new. So we are trying to adjust in this new condition, and with your lecture was really wonderful. Thanks a lot, sir. Now we would like to invite our behavioral analyst from Boston, USA, Mrs. Priyanka Mishra, to deliver her address before all of us. Mrs. Priyanka Mishra. Please unmute yourself, ma'am. Please unmute yourself.
I'm so sorry that I just went presenting myself. I'm so sorry. So I'm just saying good morning from here. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. And I will definitely take this opportunity to say thank you to you all. Thank you to Dr. Minch, Dr. Sharma, Dr. Sinha, and Dr. Vinod for organizing this webinar. And I'm so delighted to see my teachers. I'm feeling overwhelmed and emotional when I see Amul sir and Masroor ma'am here. It's really a nice start of the day. And I also see my colleagues and my friends. Sunil ji is here, Himanshu is here, I saw Devashri. So thank you to all that you joined here, and thank you, Jatin, for giving me a warm welcome. So let's start my presentation. You know what happens when you are last to present? Most of the things are covered. Most of the things are covered by other presenters. But it's okay, like you know that what you are thinking, your thought process, that is supported by all the eminent people in your field. So again, I will also start my presentation just like Amol sir. He covered 5 dimensions of wellness. I'm going to cover 7 dimensions of wellness. If you will go online, you will find many dimensions, like 13 dimensions, 14 dimensions. Some people talk about 17 dimensions, but I believe these 7 dimensions, they cover the wellness pretty much in entirety. For this presentation, we will only take emotional or psychological aspect, psychological dimension of wellness. If you see here, these are presented in separate circles. Actually, they are not separate circles. They overlap each other. And you ignore one, and the entire system, the entire union, you will crash the system. So for this presentation, definitely we are going to talk about emotional and psychological dimension of mental health. We will investigate how COVID-19 has affected this dimension in our students, high schoolers and college age, and then we'll elaborate on coping skills. We will quickly touch upon WHO's 3 recommendations for recovery management. If time permits, I will also like to discuss about psychological first aid. This is a strategy that will help you cope with many present and future situations. I hope we'll have time for this. A disclaimer, here we are here to discuss about general coping strategies. We are not going to talk about therapy plans, because you know therapy plans are so customized and they are so much designed around a person's need. So definitely, if you need a therapy, if you really think you are in that situation, without wasting any time, go and contact a mental health professional. I will start my presentation with a quote from UN. In their report in May 13th, 2020, they have written that although the COVID-19 crisis is at a very first glance a physical crisis, it has the seeds of a major mental health crisis as well, if action is not taken. So from these 2 lines, UN has made it very clear that probably we are entering into a psychological pandemic if we are not working to mitigate the situation. Whatever we are going through right now, it is going to stay in our brains, in our collective brains for centuries to come. The lesson we will learn from this pandemic will help us in future, how we prepare, how we respond, and how we recover. All the concerns that we are talking about today are very real, very, very real. Mental health definition, Vinod also talked about this. WHO's definition of mental health, it includes subjective well-being, perceived self-efficacy, autonomy, competence, intergenerational dependence, self-actualization of one's intellectual and emotional potential. The WHO further says that wellness includes the realization of people's ability, coping with normal stresses in life, producing productive work, and contributing to their community. Cultural differences, subjective assessments, and competing professional theories all affect how one defines mental health. So how COVID is influencing the mental health of our adolescents and young people? A study carried by WHO in UK shows that 32% of students said that pandemic has affected their mental health. When we target mental health, when we plan therapy, when we try to address mental health, try to mitigate mental health crises or situation, we generally talk about normal routine, normal structure. We talk about interaction with other people, that community, where community comes in, and we kind of clearly define or have an idea about the near future. During this pandemic, you see all these things are broken. We do not have our routine that we trust. We do not interact, like we are in social isolation. We are maintaining social distancing. We are not interacting with people as much as we used to. Clear future? Future is clear. Probably we'll have vaccine someday and we'll all function again. But when? 6 months from now? 12 months from now? 2 years from now? When? Situation is little hazy. Future is little hazy. So you see all these things that we used to trust to address mental health situation well, the entire structure is shaky, it's broken. So yes, UN recommends provision of mental health services must include specific action tailored for this population, this young adult population. Mental health issues during COVID-19, everybody, like speakers before me, Amul sir, Dr. Sinha, Dr. Sharma, they all talked about these things. Stress, anger, resentment, frustration, anxiety, fear, phobias, OCDs, loneliness and boredom, depression, suicide, grief and loss, alcohol and substance dependence, and also withdrawal. I'm not going to talk about PTSD, eating disorder, and all those things because that is going to take so much time. PTSD is one thing that we are still waiting for data because we are still in the situation. We are still in the tunnel. Let's take stress first. As APA defines stress, they define it as the psychological and physiological response to internal or external stressors. Stress involves changes affecting nearly every system of the body, influencing how people feel or behave. Stress symptoms can be physical, can be psychological. Physical symptoms include low energy, headache, upset stomach, aches, pains, changes in sleep and eating pattern. And if you are going through a chronic stress, it also impacts your immune system. Psychological symptoms of stress, depressive symptoms, anxiety, anger, irritability, restlessness, racing thoughts, constant worry, problem with memory and decision making. And believe me, this is not the complete list of symptoms. There are much more. Stress during and after quarantine. During the quarantine, you are very concerned about the basic needs, food, water, shelter. You are worried about staying well informed. You are going through psychological distress, fear of own and others' health, frustration and boredom. Stressors after the quarantine, financial hardship, anger and anxiety, stigma, and avoidance behavior. The second mental health issue is anger and resentment that I see very commonly present in all the people, youth, old age, little kids, everybody is going through this phase, anger and resentment. I don't have to define an anger and resentment for you guys. You all are going through it and we all know about it. Physical anger and resentment. Physical reactions can include muscle tightening, heart rate increasing, jaw clenching, feeling jumpy. Behavioral responses, yelling, breaking object, hurting people, hurting yourself. All these things can come under aggression, anger and resentment. Why are we angry? Why are we having this feeling of resentment during this situation? Because the resentment can happen when you see your family or your friends have to go into quarantine as a result of contact with you. The experience of monitoring yourself or monitored by others for signs and symptoms of the disease. Time taken off from work and potential loss of income and job security. Anger if you think you are exposed to disease because of someone else's negligence. Anger because things are out of control. Testing is not available when you need. Agencies are not prepared. Everyone's safety is. Don't you see all these things will make you angry? Definitely, they make me angry sometimes. Third thing, anxiety, fear, and phobia. Anxiety is a physical damage. Normal to be worried and distressed during time of healthy. However, people with anxiety tend to experience more exaggerated, elevated form of worries and all these symptoms that are written here, they are felt with different kind of intensity, very increased intensity. People feel worry and dread, stomach and digestion problems, trouble with concentration, memory, and thinking clearly, increased heart rate, shortness of breath, changes in energy and difficulty sleeping, guilty and all these things. But this is not the exhaustive list of anxiety symptoms. There are much more. Whatever symptoms I'm including here, I will also like the students, if the students are here, I will like them to go to APA take out your DSM and read these symptoms. And in fact, anxiety, fear, phobias, OCDs, all these things are very widely reported during this time. Why anxiety? Why fear? Why phobias? Why OCD? Anxiety about the possibility of having less secure income, losing control. Challenges when you are trying to secure things that are needed, such as groceries, personal care. I'm sorry, I'm hearing some kind of noise. I don't know if it's coming from my side or it's coming from yours. Am I here? Am I present? I'm not able to see people. Concern the challenges of securing things that you need, such as groceries and personal care. Concern about being able to effectively care for children, elders, or any other person who is sick. Anxiety and fear. Did you say something? Getting the disease, losing your academic year, fear of being burdened to the family, fear of losing people, fear about having long-term side disease, fear about loneliness and isolation, fear about social and discrimination, social phobias, germophobias, claustrophobias. All these phobias are emerging.
अच्छा पर डेफिनेशन बता रहे नहीं ओसीडी क्या होता है ये क्या होता है एंगर क्या
Well, sir, are you saying something?
No. Ma'am, go ahead.
What is happening?
Ma'am, please continue.
Okay.
Please continue.
Yeah, fine.
All the needed safeguard that we talk about, like washing your hand thoroughly and more frequently disinfecting your surfaces, avoiding touching your face, avoiding touching people, all these things, they make bigger or intensify loneliness and boredom. Of course, we are like it's 5 months now that we are into social isolation. Whatever we say, whatever we do, whatever we think, we are feeling lonely, we are feeling. Kids are feeling bored, adults are feeling bored because we are done with whatever we used to do and we used to get satisfied. Sometimes so closely staying together, you come to notice about your good things, your bad things, and sometimes it gets really difficult to cope with all those stuff in the family too. Depression. Very much like anxiety, depression is also a clinical diagnosis. According to the Census Bureau statistics that USA, the pandemic has affected people ages 18 to 29 more, with 42% reporting anxiety and 36% reporting depression. Symptoms of depression may include psychological and physical symptoms. This is the list of symptoms, not the complete list of symptoms. I will ask you to go and read these symptoms, and we are all professionals and we are very much suicide is something I really know. Suicide is very closely connected to social isolation, anxiety, fear of contagion, uncertainty from stress, and economic difficulties may lead to stress disorder and susceptibility in vulnerable population, people with pre-existing psychiatric conditions, low resilient persons, individuals who reside in high COVID-19 prevalent areas, like we in US, and people who have family member or a friend who has died. Individuals who have pre-existing conditions but are not under treatment. That's a very large amount of people who might develop these symptoms, who might think about suicide or may go through suicidal ideations because they are not under treatment. And we don't know that number. historical data, as mentioned by Dr. Sinha, Dr. Sharma, that Spanish flu epidemic in 1918-1919 was very much associated with increase in death. SARS of 2003 significantly increased suicide rate among people aged 65. When I was researching for this webinar, I went to APA's website, and APA website says that we are at least 2 years away from having an exact data on suicide. According to Dr. Friedman from Columbia University, she says that it's not a given that a pandemic will cause increase in suicidal rate. One event can trigger stress, but it is not going to make someone suicide out of the blue. It is typically a combination of biological, psychological, environmental, and many other factors that renders people vulnerable. During the Great Recession of 2008, about 4.8 million people lost their jobs, and the suicide rate did not increase. We are much more resilient than we are given credit. It is not always sad. I also wanted to quote someone, I don't know who is that. He said that suicide is a permanent solution for a time. Don't lose it. Keep yourself very. Grief and loss, very real thing, very real thing. Grief is a normal response to loss during or after a disaster or any other traumatic event. Grief can happen in response to loss of life or loss of routine, drastic change in your life. All the things that used to give you comfort and sense of stability, when they are broken, you feel grief and loss. Common reaction: shock, disbelief, denial, anxiety, distress, anger, period of sadness, loss of sleep, and loss of appetite. The last thing that I really want to include here, Amul sir also included this, alcohol and drug abuse. A survey done by research by the Recovery Village, it's the addiction center here. It says that people are turning to alcohol to cope with stress created by COVID. You think if you are using alcohol to cope with life circumstances and stresses in life and boredom, you are putting yourself into a habit of taking alcohol, and that may lead to substance use. We are not waiting for that. Not only dependence, in this situation, dependence is not the only thing. Also, the people who are already dependent on alcohol, and alcohol is not available, they will develop problems. Be ready for that. Keep an eye on the people who have this dependence. Probably they will go through a withdrawal, and that will be real. That will need immediate medical attention. So now we are here. We are going to talk about coping with mental health issues during COVID-19 pandemic. Little bottle. Remember this diagram? We talked about 7 dimensions. Remember they overlap with each other. Here, if we want to target our well-being, we have to target each of these dimensions. All these 7 dimensions should come. They should unite. They should act in an union. So if we talk about physical coming into it, these are the few things that I will like to talk about. Follow 3 mantras: wash hands, wear mask, and maintain social distancing. This is our mantra for COVID-19, the responding during COVID-19. Get enough sleep. Go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time. Try to stick to a typical routine. That is very important. Participate in regular physical activity. We all know that physical activities, exercises, they help reduce and they improve mood. So definitely do anything, little bit, or whatever amount you can afford to do. It depends on your time and your physical condition. Definitely move your body. Eat healthy and drink water. Choose a well-balanced diet. Avoid eating junk food, sugary food. Limit caffeine because it can increase the stress and anxiety. Control your meal portion. That's very important. I see pictures and videos on Facebook and WhatsApp that people are cooking. Like every household has become a halwai ka dukan kind of thing, and everybody is cooking and eating. Remember that we don't want to put ourselves into obesity and fat. Then the something that is very underrated, but we all know it, that drinking water. Drink in good amount. Drink in good amount. Water, not alcohol. So avoid alcohol, avoid tobacco, avoid drugs. You know, the people who smoke or the people who don't smoke, they also know that vaping or smoking cigarette make your lungs weak. And we know that COVID-19 affects the lungs. You increase your risk if you keep indulging yourself into these. Do not avoid as much as possible. Avoid tobacco, avoid alcohol, and do not use alcohol as your coping. That is not a coping skill. You are putting yourself into a spiral of unending calamities, troubles, difficulties. Limit your screen time. Limit your screen time. Do not only tell your kids to limit their screen time. You should also limit your screen time. Relax and recharge. I guess everybody, Dr. Sinha, Dr. Sharma, Amul sir, everybody has touched upon this specific topic. Relax and recharge. Put some time for yourself, some quiet time, little bit time. Not you don't need to have half an hour, even 10 minutes will work. But there should be some time for yourself when you be quiet and be with you. You need to maintain your self-care, your personal hygiene. Not that 3 days a week you're taking shower and 4 days you're just not thinking about taking shower. Saving water, do not save water like that. Maintain your personal hygiene, very important. Learn to recognize early signs of COVID-19. Somebody already discussed all these signs. So it's very important that you know what are the signs in your body, what are the signs in other persons, the people who are around. Maintain cleanliness in your physical surroundings. This is important. This is very important. Clean, sanitize your surroundings. The next dimension is psychological dimension that I want to talk about. And this is probably going to be the longest part of my presentation. Accept the situation. Amul sir also said, accept the situation, understand the risk, and stay flexible. Accept the situation that this is a real situation. You will go through all these anxieties. You will go through all these pressures of life. You will have to manage your professional and family life in one geographical area, the way Dr. Minch said, in the confinement. Your house is your office, your house is your house, your family stays there. It is very important that you accept the situation and then try to mitigate it. Stay informed, use credible sources of information. Be flexible. CDC, when this COVID started, CDC, Dr. Fauci came and said on TV that it's okay, we don't have to wear masks. But then after 2 or 3 months into this pandemic, Dr. Fauci again came and said, wearing mask is very important. This is where we have to be. This is a new situation. COVID never happened. COVID-19 never happened. So there will be new information. Stay flexible. Be ready to take the change and rise to the occasion. That's very important. Try to eliminate or reduce stressors. Sometimes the stressors are so real. Stresses are so real in our life. We cannot reduce them. Still, we can plan. We can share responsibility. If I am working, my husband is working, everybody is working, we can share household responsibility. He can also cook few meals, he can grill, he can bake, he can do where he feels safe. We can drop our responsibilities, share our responsibilities, relax our standard of performance. If I cook 3 curries in a day, probably I'll just manage with 1 curry. Like I'm just giving a housewife example. So it is very important to reduce your stress in whatever way. Well, if kids used to watch 1 hour of TV and now they are watching 1.5 hours of TV, it's okay. It's okay. What can you do? What should they do? So it's very important to reduce your stresses, decide your battle, decide where you have to put yourself in that battle and from where you have to deploy. Then comes mindfulness and meditation. Meditation is very well talked about during this entire webinar. Mindfulness is something, someday I will really talk about it, Vinod. Mindfulness, this is really very important. Mindfulness is, I can talk about it now, but right now I'm just trying to touch upon this topic. It's just about staying in the present moment, bringing all your resources and put them to your work. Stay in the moment and just enjoy this moment. Try to not only enjoy, but because we are in a stress, think how you will address. Keep your pleasurable act. That means do what you love. Definitely, because we are social beings. We play so many characters. Sometimes you are wife, husband, kid. You are parents. You are a social being. You play so many roles. So don't lose your own self while you play all those roles. Do what you like to do. If you like to sing, dance, read, cook, watch movies, talk to people, go on drive, paint, do whatever you want to do. Give yourself those 10, 15 minutes of your day. Reframe your thinking and focus on positive. Redirect your thoughts elsewhere. Set realistic. Strive for acceptance of the situation that are outside. And be kind to you. It is very important. Be kind to yourself. Be patient with yourself when you are learning to deal with this totally new situation, this totally new normal of life. Limit your exposure to news. It's not only that you limit your exposure to news, you also don't watch news when you are very old, like just before bed. So much, like it's confusing, it's terrifying the way they present news. Take it into like set a time like this is the half hour I will watch news story. Avoid dwelling on things you cannot. You cannot control how your local government is going to respond to this. You cannot control how the people around you are going to respond to this. So make a list and a list of the things that you cannot control. But definitely control the things that you can control. You cannot control big things, but you can definitely control how many times you wash your hands. You wear your mask. You maintain your social distance. You take care of yourself. You don't go into public places. These are the things that you can control right now. So just don't think about what you cannot control and focus on what you can control. Take your own advice. Think about a role play scenario that a friend of yours has come to you for the same stress-related question that you are going through, that you are facing right now. And do what you will advise that. Take your own. This thing, follow a schedule and stay busy. I'm telling you that I cannot overemphasize this. Our structure of life, our routine of life has, like the life we used to know has scattered for time being. For time being, I want to. During this time, it is very important that you create a schedule for yourself, your kids, your family, and for everybody around you by taking proper, by letting them contribute. For yourself, you can make your AM schedule, your PM schedule, your afternoon schedule, and you will know that when you make a schedule, you can include so many things and you can accomplish so many. So definitely make a schedule, set priority and manage it. This is not the time when you will be overwhelmed by life-changing decisions and things to do list and all those things. This is the time when you have to go through this time and stay productive as much as possible to set your priorities. See what you really want to finish first, what comes to your priority list first. Do those things. Give yourself time, go into right direction, take a small step, recognize your success. Recognize your success and plan to address your failures as well. Reflect on past success. We are all confined to our houses. There are not many success that we can talk about, but definitely your past is full of success. We all are sitting together here talking about things definitely we have achieved in our lives. So think about those success. Keep them staying your strength. Break from aggravating. When you feel anger, resentment, sometimes aggression, take break. Take break. Go to a place where designate a chair, your timeout chair. Go there, sit there, and just relax. Work on list and strength. Work on a list of your strengths and coping skills. Once you are this old, you have crossed 15, 16 years of age. You know you know how you have coped with many situations in your life. Make a list of those things. And also make a list of those things that has not worked for you and you need improvement. It's important to know yourself completely. Weather the storm. We are going through a perfect storm. So weather the storm. There is only one way, and that is do it. Keep yourself together. During the time of grief and loss, accept the situation. Grief and loss, those are very real, very traumatic situations. But again, accept the situation, create memories, join other people who are close to you, celebrate the life of the deceased, find a closer to it. Seek personal and professional help. Amul sir was talking about it too. Like when the things are out of your control, when your coping skills that we are talking about, they are not working for you. Seek help. Seek help from your community, your family, your friends. And if they are not able to help you, you need someone to help you professionally. Talk to a mental health. Go to a psychologist, a counselor, and do it as soon as possible. Do not wait. The last thing about psychological dimension that I want to cover is resilience. We can also talk about resilience, how to build resilience and all these things for hours. But for this presentation, resilience is an ability to bounce back from adversity. It is a learned behavior. Remember, it's an operant behavior. You can learn to be resilient. It takes time and effort and involves number of steps. It involves dealing with strong emotions and taking actions to deal with living. It involves how to build resilience, make strong connections, strong professional, personal connections in multi-layer. Take care of yourself, think positively, accept change, set realistic goal and take action. Look for self-discovery opportunities. Self-discovery opportunities, again, you should know your strengths, your weaknesses, your abilities, your difficulties, all these things. Then stay flexible and take help, accept help if people are providing. Now, let's talk about social dimension of wealth. 5 months of isolation. This is the time more than ever we know how important social connectivity is. So very important. Make meaningful, healthy connections. Create multiple alternatives. So when I talk about alternative groups, it's very important that you have separate groups of friends. They can overlap, that's all right, but it's not that you have lost one set of friends, you are friendless. Create multiple groups. That is very important. That's very intelligent to do. Like a few people you can talk about sports, deep into sports. They know everything, history and current, all the affairs about sports. One group that can talk about music, another group that can talk about other things in life. So definitely, multiple alternative groups are very. When you are talking to people, move beyond small talk. If you are talking to somebody to mitigate your stress, very important to go beyond greeting. Hello, how are you? I'm good, how are you? Nobody will know what you are doing. You need to break that ice. You need to take risks too. When you are opening up, share your deep insecurities, share your feelings, share your thoughts. And I'm sure you're not going to do it with some random person or some stranger. You will be doing it with your friend or your family. So, and believe me that everybody will be very appreciative. Everybody will feel good that you trust them. And it will also help you deepen your relationship with your friends and your family. When we're talking about your insecurities, your feelings, it is go with target that you are not looking for a solution. You are not looking for uh, you're not looking to fix this problem. You are just there to be heard. It is very important that you are heard without getting judged, without getting. So that's why we need to have a meaningful connection. We need to have close people, close family. When somebody else is coming to you, be ready to listen to them without judging them, without get involved and contribute to your country. This is the time you can find in helping people. You can see if some elderly people, they live around you, if they need groceries or they need prescription refill. You can cook for homeless people. You can do remote tutoring. Whatever talent, whatever ability you have, contribute to the society. Be a very significant member of your society. It is very important right now because everybody is going through the things that we are talking about. Not only we sitting here, everybody in the world is. So support your community, support your family, support your friends. Stay safe and keep people around you. Now we are talking about intellectual dimension of well-being. So these are the recommendations. Not overdoing it. Take news from reliable sources, and it is very important that you develop discrimination. What is real news? What is not? This you have to build that discrimination to understand the to understand the difference between right. Who can take online courses, go for online workshops, the way that we are doing right now. Seek out people who challenge you intellectually. Ma'am, Dr. Mensch, ma'am said that challenging your intellect and all those things ma'am was talking about. Coming out of your comfort zone is very important. Intellectual stimulating discussion. And believe me, once you will start doing that, you will notice that you are entertained only when your brain. Put yourself into tough. Read. If you are not in habit of reading, form a habit. This is the golden time to form. If you cannot read for 30 minutes, read for 5 minutes. Slowly increase your duration, 5 minutes to 10 minutes to 15 minutes. Read it, very important. Learn to appreciate art. Watch documentaries, online free documentaries, very good documentaries from Smithsonian, from Discovery Channel, from History Channel. You can enjoy those documentaries. Virtually access museums. All the museums, we have many Smithsonian museums in Washington. They all are free right now. You can enter the museum virtually. You can see everything. Museums in Paris, they are free right now. Museums are in London, they are free. You can virtually access those museums and enjoy the history, enjoy the science as much as you want. Master a cuisine. If not a cuisine, master a few recipes. They'll help you. That's a life skill to learn. So definitely learn those things. Develop new hobbies, develop new skills, and also
विनोद जी देंगे आपको आज का.
So develop new hobbies and life skills.
नहीं वो चुका अभी चल रहा है ना इसीलिए नहीं उठा रहे होंगे.
Online instruction.
है ना अभी चल रहा है.
Give yourself time to prepare, respond, and recover. That is again, be kind to yourself. Give yourself time to understand and process the situation. Observe the situation and observe the need of others. Amul sir very well talked about this, that you will feel a great satisfaction when you help others. You know, we are the community, we are the civilization. We talk about Sarva Mangal Mangalye. We talk about Sarve Santu Niramaya. We just pray. That's in our DNA. We just pray for others. We do things for others. The next thing is set ground rules for yourself and for others. Educate yourself and voice your concerns regarding the pandemic. After intellectual dimension, I'm going to bring financial dimension into action. Do you know, like financial dimension, when I was doing this webinar, I was preparing for this webinar, I was really concerned. I was thinking, like, if you lose your job, if you lose all your money, how are you going to cope up with the situation? Then I thought it's more about preparedness. It's more about preparing yourself for future. And the group that we are targeting, adolescent and young adults, most of them are dependent on their parents. Their parents are earning for them. So this is the time for them to take a lesson and explore variety of career options. Create a vision for your future. Choose a career that suits your personality, your interest, your talent. Be open to change and learn new skills. Understand, these are the very good things for all of us. Understand your health insurance plan, what it covers, what it does not cover. And it's very important. People from my dad's generation, my dad is a doctor, but somehow he did not have health insurance. Like 10, 15 years back, we made him get a health insurance. So it's very important, get a health insurance. Find out what you are eligible for, disability allowance, unemployment allowance, your family medical leave, how you are, like how other people's insurances are. These things are very important that you know. Prioritize your bills and payments. You can watch less Netflix. You have to pay for food, you have to pay your bills, you have to pay for shelter. Those are the priorities. Find an alternative source of income, whatever way is possible. Cultivate a hobby that can produce money for you in future. You will be a professional, you will be working on a job, but you should have a hobby, a talent in your hand that can generate money for you if needed. Review your savings and budget your expenses. This is the high time to do that. Your savings, your budget, everything should be into, they should work together. The one thing that I have not mentioned here, that you should be aware of your government policies, bailouts. There are so many things going on, like stimulus bills are coming in US, in India too. I have heard that from Prime Minister's fund, some funds are coming to people. How are you eligible for those fundings? Just keep an eye on all those things. Bringing environmental dimension into action, how COVID-19 will affect our environment, how will we cope up with this? Right now, you must be listening all those good news that pollution has gone down, carbon emission has gone down. We can see Himalayas from Ludhiana. These are really good news. They are really, like, you feel a boost out of it that at least COVID-19 is doing something good to us. But remember, all these things are false hopes. Very soon, everything will be same. I don't want to dishearten anybody here. I don't want to be a bearer of bad news. I don't want to do that. But yes, then we have to accept the reality. We have to be ready for the reality. Do you see how many PPEs we are using? How many gloves, masks, apron we are using? All those plastic-made things. Do you think about the disposal? How will we dispose those things in future? Well, coping using our environmental dimension involve these things. Keep your environment clean and organized. Make responsible choices when you want to leave the house, when you don't want to leave the house. How many people you want to meet, or what kind of people are necessary to be met right now. Work from home if possible. Stop using junk mails. Try to get connected online so you can get most of your mails in your email. Conserve water and other resources. Minimize chemical use. We are using bleach like anything nowadays. Minimize chemical use. Stay safe, that's very important, but minimize chemical use. And these 3 mantras of saving our planet: reduce, reuse, recycle. This is universal truth, timeless truth, always relevant. After doing that, after going through our environmental coping strategies, we can come to this spiritual dimension. A spiritual dimension. I do not want to preach anything here, but don't you all think that this pace of life, this slow pace of life, this pause, this stillness is something we always craved for? Probably this is the time to go within. Probably this is the time to face our real fears, understand our faith, understand our abilities, our difficulties, make balance between what we consume and what we give. Coping using spiritual dimension involves showing gratitude. Showing gratitude for at least 3 things every day. You are alive. You can talk, your hands are working, your legs are working, you are not bedridden. There are so many things, if you see, you will be thankful. So always make a gratitude list. Every day, at least 3 things that you are really thankful for. Use your faith and your religious community for support, especially during the time of isolation, when you are going through grief or loss, when you are depressed, you have anxiety, stress, all those things. Your community support, your religious community support is very important. When you are losing control, it is very important, we all know that actually, that it is very important to know that somewhere higher than us is taking care of things. That brings a solace, that brings a comfort to all of us. Connecting through prayer. Pray for yourself, pray for others. Exercise your compassion. Very important, very important. This is the time to be accepting. The way Sir was talking, Sharma sir, I guess he was talking about that people are throwing stones on medical professionals. They are running behind them with lathis that he was talking about. Compassion. They are here to share their compassion. You need to respond with same feelings, same things. No one need to feel alone when in pain. We are humans. Recognize your unity with others. I was reading a Buddhist document, not a scripture, something, and they talked about this. I will read it from here. We are all in this together. What each of us does and does not do can have an impact upon the spread of the virus. No matter what our own health situation is, we are connected with the familiar and the stranger, the strong and the vulnerable. We are all together into this boat right now, and we all have to sail through together by making each other powerful, by empowering each other. The next thing is welcoming the sweet fragrance. This is just a Buddhist practice that I saw, and I liked it a lot. Probably most of us must be doing it. This is like you light up a stick of incense, agarbatti, and set before it. Notice the slow burning and moving of the scented smoke. Focus and remind yourself that with courage and goodwill, a sweet fragrance will come even from the difficulties that you currently find yourself in. This is just a thing that I wanted to share. I'm not preaching this. It's just that I liked it and I sometimes do it. So I just wanted to share that. My final words. Action plan for any situation is divided into 3 parts: preparedness, response, and recovery. Preparedness, unfortunately, we were not prepared. I was not prepared. You were not prepared. Our countries were not prepared. Continents were not prepared. Actually, the entire globe, the entire earth, we were not prepared for this magnitude of pandemic. Okay, we were not prepared, but we are responding very well. After that initial chaos, initial craziness, we have accepted the situation. We used our coping resources. We accepted the situation. And now we are responding to it by being a very contributing member of our community, staying safe, keeping other people safe. Our scientists they are doing research. Very soon we'll get a vaccine. I'm very hopeful that we'll get vaccine very soon. Russia has claimed. Let's see what happens. And then comes recovery. Recovery is also very important because we don't want to deal with this psychological pandemic. We don't want to deal with obesity. We don't want to deal with alcoholism. We just don't want to deal with all those things. So planning the recovery is very, very, very important. To minimize the mental health consequence of the pandemic, WHO has 3 recommendations. Apply a whole society approach to promote, protect, and care for mental health. Ensure widespread availability of emergency mental health and psychosocial support. Support recovery from COVID-19 by building mental health services for the future. So these are my final words. I also wanted to talk about the psychological first aid, but I knew that we won't have enough time and we'll keep it for some other presentation. So yes, thank you. And I'm open for questions. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot, madam. It was really enlightening. You talked about 7 dimensions of wellness and how we can cope up with the problems we are facing. And you talked about the spiritual dimension. That was quite appealing. Actually, we are laymen. So far as this area is concerned, we don't belong to the stream of psychology. I'm from political science. But still, I enjoyed your lecture. That was because both the lectures were really useful. In fact, I would request both of you, Dr. Amul sir and Mrs. Priyanka Mishra, to give us a copy of your lecture so that we can circulate it among our colleagues, and the lectures can be really useful. We can practice the steps which both of you have suggested, and thereby our lives will definitely improve. In your last point, you talked about spiritual dimension. That was really wonderful. I mean, I liked the way you talked about that thing, and especially mindfulness and Buddhist style of mindfulness. That was really wonderful. So, I mean, thanks a lot, madam. It was really wonderful lecture. Now, I would invite scholars present here to put your questions to our scholars. To our resource persons. If you wish, you can put your questions. Anybody? If anyone has any question, please come forward. Or if any suggestion, or if anybody has got any suggestion to make, any question to ask, any query, then you can.
So yes, definitely, we are really open for suggestions. Questions, if you have, definitely we'll answer those questions. But if you think any suggestion, this is for me, this is the first time presenting for an Indian audience in last 17 years. Definitely, if you want to contribute something, I'm really open and I'm looking forward to the suggestion.
Dr. Vinod, would you like to say something? Dr. Vinod Sharma, would you like to say something?
If anybody asks any question, then they are welcome. Otherwise, you go ahead, sir. They are welcome.
Okay. Otherwise, you go. Okay. So now actually, as nobody has, as nobody has come. As nobody has come with any question, come up with any question or any idea, any suggestion. So now we are coming towards the conclusion of our program. Now I would invite, who is going to, now I would invite Registrar of our university, Dr. D.N. Singh, to propose a formal vote of thanks. Honorable Registrar of our university, Dr. D.N. Singh. D.N. Singh, sir, are you there? Binay Babu, okay. So I think Registrar sir is not there. So I would request our organizing secretary of this international webinar and head of Hindi department of our university, Dr. Binay Kumar Sinha, to deliver vote of thanks. Dr. Binay Kumar Sinha. please.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Yes,
संजीव
Dr.
जी
Bina Kumar
सुन
Sinha.
रहे संजीव जी
Yeah,
सुन पा
yeah,
रहे
we
हैं?
are able to listen to you. Yes, yes, we are able to listen to you.
सिद्धू कानू मुर्मू विश्वविद्यालय द्वारा आयोजित इस सेमिनार में उपस्थित और प्रेरणा के स्रोत प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर सोना झरिया मींज मैडम का शुरू से ही जब से वो ज्वाइन किए। हेलो, सुन रहे हैं? हेलो।
Yes, yes.
हेलो।
Yeah, बोलिए, सुनाई पड़ रही आवाज।
वो जब से ज्वाइन की हैं तब से वेबिनार के लिए वो लगातार हम लोगों को प्रेरित करती रही हैं। मैं उनको इस विश्वविद्यालय के एक शिक्षक होने के नाते मैं दिल से मैं उनका धन्यवाद के साथ उनका आभार भी मैं व्यक्त करता हूं, क्योंकि हम लोग बहुत ज़्यादा वेबिनार से या ऐसे सब चीज़ों से हम लोग बहुत एक्वेंटेड नहीं थे या परिचित नहीं थे, तो मैं इसलिए उनका पुनः मैं धन्यवाद ज्ञापन करता हूं। दूसरे जो इस विश्वविद्यालय के कुलपति महोदय हैं डॉक्टर HP शर्मा जी, मैं तो उनको कई बार सुना और वो पूरी तैयारी के साथ आते हैं, और जब उनका वक्तव्य हो रहा था तो मैं उनके सामने बैठा हुआ था और मुझे लगा कि उनका जो स्पीच है कोरोना से बचने के लिए उन्होंने जो 3 बातें कही कि फूड हैबिट या फिर स्वास्थ्य से संबंधित, वो मुझे लगता है कि आज जो सारगर्भित व्याख्यान था उनका। इसके अतिरिक्त अमेरिका से हमारे जो 2 प्रियंका जी और सिंह साहब थे,
हम भी सुने नहीं सुन पा रहे
कि मैं
उसको निकाल दीजिए तो आवाज आएगा।
हेलो,
फोन का आवाज आएगा ना, साउंड आएगा ना।
हेलो, हेलो संजीव जी, हेलो, हेलो संजीव जी।
हाँ सर, आपकी आवाज सुनाई दे रही है सर, आपकी आवाज सुनाई दे रही है।
हाँ, ठीक है। तो इन दोनों का जो साइकोलॉजी पर जो व्याख्यान था वो बेहद अच्छा, खास करके प्रियंका जी का तो मैं कहूँगा कि वो पूरी तैयारी के साथ आई थी, और जैसा कि मुझे विनोद जी से बातचीत से ये पता चला कि वो रिनपास की भी छात्रा रही हैं और विनोद जी से सीनियर है, लेकिन मुझे लगा कि जब कोई भी वक्ता जब वो लोगों के बीच में आए तो इतनी तैयारी के साथ हैं। मैं उनके इस तैयारी का तहे दिल से शुक्रिया अदा करता हूं। साथ में जो इसके ऑर्गेनाइजर हैं